World Cup. Only one group has more money than Kroenke, and it's FIFA, I guess. But anyways, if you want to be informed or invited, just text me. If you didn't hear the jingle beforehand, I'm not going to sing it. Area code 949. Next three numbers 298-2905. If you want any information, guides, exercises, or invited by email, David means beloved. At D is my first initial. Meltzer means servant. Let me be your beloved servant. David at dmeltzer.com. All right, boys, it's time to hit it. We have Larry waiting in the green room. Larry Codley is here. Thank you, buddy, for joining us.
Hi, everybody.
Is
my pleasure being here.
Such a blessing to have you. CEO and founder at Optum Hire, which is an AI-powered hiring platform trusted by over 300,000 plus companies, including Google, Amazon, and Dropbox. Need I say more? The credibility is there. How did you gain such great traction with your platform? Because that's a pretty big community of companies that you're working with.
Thanks, David, for the introduction. And the short answer is 17 years of hard work.
You're an overnight success.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I've been an entrepreneur for almost 17 years and been in the same recruiting industry. Optimer is my third company. So first company had a good exit. Second company, not so great exit, but more or less a break even. And then Optimer is an AI-driven one, the latest venture that we're working on. So we are a VC-backed fund done with $6 million in funding or so. But yeah, our product actually is actually doing all the magic for us. That's actually the main reason why so many companies, so many candidates are working with us. We have an AI job auto applier. So as a candidate, with the click of a button, it will search for matching jobs for you at 50 plus job boards, 300,000 companies that we are partnered with, and it will help you apply for all of those, like a matching job for you based on your preferences, your career settings and skills. Fill up the application, create a custom resume, custom cover letter, and all of that. But the most important part is we help candidates get almost 8 times more interviews than any other platform that you manually apply. Because through an AI system, we're able to apply to a job within less than 12 hours of a job being published. So the statistics go up way, way higher. So if you're able to apply to a job, in fact, most of the time we aim for being within the first 60 seconds of a job being published on a job board on any of these big sites, Google, Amazon, any of them. Our like users who are using our job auto applier get to finish their application within the first 60 seconds. So that's how their applications get reviewed so fast, and their interview chances jump by almost 8 times.
Wow.
Now the numbers are impressive, Larry. Over 300,000 companies, as you mentioned. You've got over 200 million people in your database, job applicants and whatnot. So as a user case for AI, I think you are really kind of a case study for the possibility here, particularly when we think about the fear, quote unquote fear, that a lot of people have about AI replacing jobs. You've actually flipped this around, AI making jobs possible, securing a position. I've done a lot of hiring for the different companies that we've had. Hiring is as far as I can tell, it's not a science, it's an art. Getting the right person in the right seat on the right bus, to steal something from Jim Collins here, is a big deal. How do you vet the potential candidate, not so much for a skill set that match, but for a character match for the culture of the organization, if in fact your algorithm actually moves into that?
Very good point you brought up. So just to give you an idea, the ecosystem, like first point I want to address in your statement that you said, yes, a lot of people fear AI is going to take away jobs. That's actually a big thing going on right now. A lot of people fear that. But I want to show a slightly different side of AI revolution that's happening right now. So in our own platform, we have two parts of this equation. One is an AI recruiter, another side is an AI job applier. Job applier, as I explained, it's very easy. As soon as a job is posted, as in not only does it create a custom resume, custom cover letter, but that the aim is to be one of the first few applications that reach and get applied to a job. Within the first 60 minutes is what we aim at. Most jobs we're able to do it within 12 hours. Some maybe, but more like the highest is 48 hours. That's the threshold. So that's how we are able to make people find jobs much faster. On the second side, on the other side, on the employer side, yes, we have an AI recruiter product. Say for any job application, within the first 48 hours, most jobs right now in the current market that we are in, they're getting anywhere between 300 to 500 job applications. The system goes out to all of the, as a human recruiter, you cannot go through all of those 500 applications, see through all the resumes, go through all the questions and all that stuff. So this screens them out. And again, the focus is more on the skill sets, the screening questions, what are the criteria that the human recruiter is saying to the AI recruiter, saying, hey, filter out these things. These are the questions. These are my parameters. This is the location, job, skills. This is a salary parameter. All of those basic things that we can look in a resume and ask the candidate for some screening questions. All of that is done by the AI recruiter. Even scheduling an interview, back and forth manual work that happens between a human recruiter for scheduling an interview and making them come, sending reminders, and all of that is taken care by the AI recruiter. So that's almost, if you look at it from a recruiter point of view, that's almost 90% of work of a human recruiter is being done, is being automated through an AI recruiter. Okay. Now, the last 10% or 5 to 10% of it, as you rightly brought out, is the human element. You want to understand the culture fit, the maybe even the characteristics of the person, or you want to go through more about so many other human touch elements, I would say. So what the AI does is hey, you have 500 applications. We filter them out based on the criteria that the human recruiter is setting them out. Or if there is a screening questions which ask the screening questions, get all the answers, we will rank them out and saying, hey, these are the top 5 based on the criteria that you have given. This is the scoring. You can go through the top 5, see if you like any of them. If you don't like, it'll show you the next 5. Then after that, it'll show you the next 5. So it is organizing that, and it's eliminating most of the repetitive work that a human recruiter does. Okay. So that's the segment that we are targeting right now. Now, the beauty here is that, yes, as a human recruiter, 90% of your repetitive work is removed. As a candidate, previously a job hunting process used to be a huge laborious process. You had to apply to so many different jobs. It would sometimes take like 6 months or like 2 months to 6 months to find a job. With using an AI job auto applier that we have given, we've been able to help candidates get a job in less than 2 days. They fill up an application. Sometimes they are the right fit for the right moment. So immediately the applications go out, interviews are being conducted. Within 2 business days itself, the interviews are being organized and immediately being sorted out and being hired. So average, we've been able to reduce from, say, manual application process, it takes you 2 months. We've been able to reduce it down to 12 days for most candidates to get hired too.
Wow.
That's thank you.
Hey, we're going to have to move to the next guest as you came on there, but we'll get it caught up again. Larry, promise us you'll come on to our other shows. We want to learn more in the aspect of talent acquisition and being able to provide both the candidate and the companies the most efficient, effective, and statistically successful way to have the right person in front of you to fit into the culture and to understand the character. You have to go through a laborious process, like you said, before there was OptumHire in order just to get to the interview for the character and culture fit. Larry Kodali making it happen once again with OptumHire, OptumHire.com. Hundreds of thousands of people using it already. Congratulations on your success, and we look forward to doing more with you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
You got
Thanks
it. Thank
for having me.
You got it. Success leaves clues. Jay is waiting patiently. Jay Samit is here, CEO, best-selling author, serial entrepreneur, fits right into this crew. And on Cinco de Mayo, his new book came out, The Second Act Advantage. Monetize your wisdom, master longevity, and build unforgettable legacy. As he is an international best-selling author. Like I said, Jay, you're in the right house if you look around. So you're going to get along fabulously with this crew. Welcome to Office Hours, episode 895 or so. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, David. And Larry couldn't have been a better segue. When I spoke at Davos, and I've predicted job loss from AI, I was chairman, as you probably know, of one of the public AI companies. The speaker before me was the head of the International Monetary Fund, who said 20 to 30% of all jobs will disappear over the next 5 years. So the reasons why so many people are lined up is the jobs are disappearing. 1.2 million people with high-level tech experience have been laid off just this year. So you don't get to choose when your second act starts. This doesn't just mean retirement. This means they're getting rid of the gray hair. They're getting rid of anybody. You came in fourth at the Olympics by 200th of a second. Your 20 years of racing are over. So the positive is AI can now be a force multiplier for the entrepreneur, for the sole entrepreneur, for anybody that wants to monetize the wisdom that they've built all these years. Exactly what you're doing today, David. And we need to get more people engaged because that's where whatever jobs are going to come from, they're going to come from the small entrepreneur. And I've preached this for years. I've taught it. My most successful class, I taught it at the largest engineering university in the country. I had one student make $100 million in a semester, not mythical money, donate to the school money. So we need this now because what happens to society if we start having 10%, 20% unemployment? No country's designed for it. I sit on a board with one of the board members of Foxconn. That's who makes your iPhones, your PlayStations. They had 3 million workers in Southeast Asia. They now have 9 lights out factories. What's a lights out factory? The lights are out because there's 0 humans in there. So massive disruption is coming. I can't change that, but I can empower people. And to help them, this book does something no book ever did. And my books are in 14 languages. I've heard from readers in 140 countries. When you make a book, it's out of date. Not this one. This one comes with a custom AI so that you can build out your second act, figure out what you want to do, and it's always populated just with information for that. So it's not a corporate agenda AI. It's your personal AI. So you can figure out, maybe you want to start a foundation. Maybe you want to live more richly, but more cheaply in another country. What are the visa things? Everything is set up for that because I am passionate about getting the wisest among us re-engaged.
So smart. Rhett, why don't you bring us forward?
Well, Jay, I love this. What is something that we can do? I mean, we all have gray hair here, right? There's an abundance of it here, as I think David was alluding to earlier. But if you're 50 and you're listening to this podcast, or you're 45, right,
or you're like 80, like Blaine,
or even like. Yeah, or even like 20, right? And you're starting a new job. Like my son started a new job this week in an industry in New York City that I think in 2 years is going to be massively different. What is the first step you need to take right now to protect yourself and get ready for this? Because it's overwhelming. I mean, I think a lot of people are feeling overwhelmed right now.
Society is deer in a headlights, and it's a great question. So the first thing, and obviously it depends where you are in the spectrum. It sounds intimidating. Oh my God, AI, I'm not a computer guy, da, da, da. Remember, if you have gray hair, you remember when you said, I'd never have a PC in my house, or I don't need an iPhone, or the internet is scary, I'm never putting my credit card into there. Or I'll go further, you don't believe me that within 5 years, you'll have a robot in your house. But here's where you start. Stop devaluating your worth. What got you the gray hair, what you learned, what the lessons that when you had to pivot, the difficult people you had to deal with, All of those made you an expert in something. Now, AI can be a tool so that you can monetize that. So you can reach an audience. You can create a course, goes up once while you're sleeping, thousands and thousands of people are taking it. There are grandmothers on TikTok teaching cooking, making 7 figures a year. There are people just eating food on TikTok. So you missed the social media revolution. There's a dog making $1 million a year. Makes me feel like I've wasted a lot of time. We've had the youngest self-made billionaire, a teenager, no connections. Now I'm talking about one of the Kardashians, Alex Wang, who just vibe coded an app. And what that means, fancy term for, you just talk to your computer and say, could you make me something like this? And 30 seconds later, it's done. Before he was 18, $1 billion. So ask the questions. AI isn't judging you. You don't have to be embarrassed what you don't know. It can walk you through. I've been in tech. I started on the internet in 78. I was one of the first 70 people, okay? I put video on a computer. I have the Emmy for movies on demand. I've never written a line of code. I'm not an engineer. I have no technical ability. I'm a moron, okay? But you only need 2 things to be successful: insight and perseverance. And I'm sure David agrees with that. Everything else can be hired. So when I started out, if you would have told me dozens of my friends would become self-made billionaires, I'd ask you what you were smoking. I had never met a millionaire. My dad made sandwiches, okay? But here we are. And yes, Reid Hoffman, I can name some of them, are some of the smartest people in the world. I'm not going to out, but there's some self-made billionaires, not so smart. It doesn't take a genius. It's not an educational level. It's about understanding how you can leverage these tools. And I am passionate about being able to empower people. And I've seen it all over the world. The one thing that I never got when I ran public companies, and I've had hundreds of thousands of employees, and my last company I was vice chairman of, $77 billion a year, okay? I never got a thank you note from a board, Somebody's got noise in the background, please mute. What I did get is, in 16 weeks, you better move the stock again or you're out the door. What I hear from readers in Nigeria, Pakistan, Brazil, is they took their life from what they didn't believe was possible. And the last one, I'll shut up. My last book was called Future Proofing You. I took a homeless immigrant to the US, mentored him 1 day a week for a year. No capital, no introductions to business things. And spoiler alert, you went from the streets to self-made millionaire. And I'm not selling coaching. I'm not selling seminars. I'm not selling anything, okay? I have something that billionaires don't have. I have enough. So I've spent the past 15 years just paying it forward because I know what's going to happen to society if we don't.
I love this. Yeah, just real quick, and I know we got a little time piece here. Jay, the second act book, I want to just touch on that. The second act advantage. Yeah, as far as I can tell, retirement is an artifact of the industrial age, and retirement didn't exist prior to that. So the second act, we're actually kind of going back to the beginning. Now, here's something. John Maynard Keynes at one point in time said that if capitalism is actually able to realize its promise, its full potential, we will find ourselves in a situation where we don't have to work. Things will have happened from a perspective where now we have time for ourselves to begin to look at what do we want to do? What's the value I'm bringing? And
you're stealing the thesis. So
okay.
Retirement was, you retired at an age and you died 6 years later, okay? Yeah. If you make it to 60, you have a very good shot of making it to 90, which means your second act is longer than your first one. And the reason why it's called second act advantage, I started my first company at 20. Why? Ask any 20-year-old, they know everything. I thought I knew everything, I got lucky, okay? I spent the next 40 years realizing what I didn't know. But your second time, you have that advantage of knowledge and wisdom. Secondly, you have a network that you've built. Now you have the tools that you don't have to raise the amount of capital. I've raised billion, you don't have to do any of that. But what I want to say is where you're heading is we all want to have purpose. When they looked at the blue zones, it's not diet or exercise that gives you longevity. It's having ikigai, a reason to get out of bed in the morning.
Yeah.
So you can do well and do good at the same time. Build a business that solves a problem for people, that makes our world better, and then you'll experience joy. So I hook you into the book that will get you a revenue stream. That kid that I talked about, first month when he made $40,000, $50,000, okay, he could have flown around the world without a plane, right? You guys know this, you're entrepreneurs. We've raised an educational system to make employees in a world that won't have employees.
Right.
So there's no universal basic income coming for you. Social Security isn't. When most of the jobs are replaced by AI, whether it's embodied in robots or if your job's staring at a computer screen, the computer doesn't need you, that means there's no tax base paying into those social services. So you are out of luck unless you take control of your destiny. And if you don't, you're deer in the headlights. And I worry about what the implications are. So I thank you for sharing your audience and helping me get the message out. I sound like I'm on a soapbox. I
No, we
am.
love it. We'll be inviting you down to Newport Beach with Tim Story, Jay Abraham, myself, and several others. I'm sure you'll fit right in, Jay. If you
That'd
can't
be
get
an
Jay,
honor.
we'd love to have you. If you can't get this Jay, there's still digital Jay that comes with the book. So you get digital Jay along with Jay. Check him out at jsummit.com. The book came out on Cinco de Mayo, which, by the way, Jay, I set a Guinness Book of World Records on Cinco de Mayo at Angel Stadium. I threw the first pitch out in front of the biggest crowd ever to wear sombreros to a game. Very specific joy to be in the Guinness Book of World Records. So,
Don't
anyways,
think anybody's going to break that one, David.
it's time to repurpose your life, not retire. The second act advantage for anyone. Please read and utilize your wisdom and longevity to build an unforgettable legacy. It takes great minds combined. We look forward, Jay, to seeing you in Newport Beach later on this month and on other shows of ours. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thanks, Jay.
I told you he'd fit right in.
I'd love to have him on the Solar Business, so I'm going to circle back with him on that.
Circle back with him. I love Blaine after all these years, right? Hold on, just one quick question. And like 6 minutes later, I'm like, where's the question? The question was very quick. It was the prelude to the question.
Hey, you got to set it up. You gotta.
I'm the king of setting it up. I agree. And we got plenty of time for you, Blaine. It's okay. I always leave extra Blaine time when I'm doing office hours. Anyways, okay, what about Joe? Is that what you said? Yeah, Joe's waiting in the green room patiently, and he's right beneath us in Carlsbad, California, founder of the Higher Perspective and Mindset Leadership speaker. Joe's currently focused on expanding his work with leaders and organizations through his keynotes and corporate programs to improve performance by helping people master their internal state. You can't find outside of you what you can't see inside of you, and it's guys like Joe that'll help you find it. Joe, welcome to Office Hours episode 895 or more.
Thank you so much for having me, gentlemen. That was a nice little chat. You guys have some good camaraderie there, good energy, and feel like got a little
it is middle-aged white man episode. We were all over it. Or I think we're even older than middle age, except for maybe Rhett. He's right in the middle. Anyways, perspective is so important in the inner work that needs to be done. I'm a frequency vibration student. And so when you talk about the higher perspective, I think frequency and vibration. How is frequency awareness or vibration? How is that utilized in your teachings, corporate programs, and keynotes about having a higher perspective?
Great question. So it comes down to consciousness. So what we believe and think and how we feel, emotions and just feelings, what our body's holding on to is the frequency, is the vibration. So it's just this transmission. It's this message that we're just kind of radiating out to the ether, to the universe, to the quantum field. And that is sending a very explicit message. This is who I am. This is what I'm about. This is what I believe. So then show that to me, prove that to me. And the universe has no choice but to kind of mimic that, to respond back. And so all of that is tied to vibration. So we have to kind of understand, well, how can we tune in and put our vibration to that point, to that frequency where it's serving me? Because a lot of us are putting this stuff out without knowing that we're doing that. And we're putting out a message that's not serving what we ultimately want to experience for ourselves and our loved ones. So what I teach is perspective is how do we dial that in so that we can wield that power of our consciousness and then put that dial right where we want it to be so that we can then see the expression of that externally, but more importantly, feel it, confidence, pride, fulfillment, joy, gratitude internally. So we're winning on both spectrums, outside and inside.
Rhett, why don't you go ahead? I took such a long preamble.
Well, I mean, you guys should listen to the show on Wednesday that you guys do. I mean, that's like the preambles and the setups there are great. I mean, I think
Yeah,
it's,
they're X-rated. They're X-rated though.
That's true. But I mean, you guys do Napoleon Hill really well. Anyway, Joe, I want to ask. You started doing this work, I'm guessing, because you talk about walking away from your life after losing your wife and spending years sort of traveling and rebuilding. And I know we have a lot of people here that are in that rebuilding stage.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like for you, and how did it lead to this work, and why did you have to go through that to be able to do what you do now?
So I don't know. One, that's a loaded question. I have to answer 17 points there. But I don't know if I had to, but
Okay.
it was kind of like the path of least resistance was me learning that my suffering internally for like grieving the loss of my wife and then traveling the world and learning, everything and studying consciousness and spirituality, religion was easier, even though it was immensely difficult. It was easier than staying in this space where I just felt like a victim of my own life, where I didn't want to die, but I didn't want to live. And you're kind of like in this kind of very, very scary gray area. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. And so I chose the path of least resistance was, well, then I must learn how to live differently. And so that kind of sparked my ignition into like, well, let me go out and find out what I don't know. And that's what I tell people to ask themselves. What do you not know? Go think about, go discover, go figure out what you don't know about the way you're living your life and experiencing your reality. And that's the question that sparked curiosity. And basically I just went down that path and then traveled the world again for a long time, just studying this stuff, figuring stuff out. And then the natural kind of order of things, once I studied like Buddhism and became very Zen and non-attachment and found a lot of peace there. But then I discovered that, well, I can also wield my consciousness to create a particular experience for myself. What do I ultimately want? Well, I do want love. I do want to be a father. I do want to have my own business. I want to be successful, but I had a big taste of that before, but I wasn't able to see it because the brain and the mind are trained to be negative, and they're trained to want what you don't have instead of realize what you do. So all that work allowed me to retrain my consciousness to be present and to find the fulfillment that the other gentleman was talking about earlier, is to find that joy and happiness because he has enough, right? Well, we're not trained to see that we have enough. We're always trained to look at what we don't have. Well, I was able to do that and then create a very specific life for what I wanted in regards to like fulfillment and peace and quality of life. And so it was more of just a survival mechanism. And I think that's what happens to anybody that really is encouraged or empowered to go on their own personal transformation. They're sick of suffering. They're sick of the pain. They're sick of the depression, the anxiety, and the stress. And they go, I got to figure some shit out here. Sorry for swearing. I got to figure some shit out here, or else I'm stuck in this pattern and I don't want to be here anymore. And so it was just kind of typical for me too.
Yeah, I love this, and this will be short. The idea of knowing myself.
Wait. Before you get to your short preamble, I just love someone who says, sorry about swearing, and then the next sentence he swears again.
Yeah. Apologize for saying shit.
Yeah. But what the shit? All right, anyway, go ahead.
Above the Oracle of Delphi, know thyself. That whole philosophy from a leadership program or perspective. Yeah, I teach a program at the American Association for Physician Leadership, and the title of it is Leadership Authenticity.
Mhm.
And I would have docs and hospital administrators, what do you mean by authenticity? And that whole question begs an exploration. So the idea of, I set the ceiling on my organization's performance. And they will literally, people will not go further than I have moved myself in terms of consciousness as well as in terms of practice and everything else here. You have a philosophy. What if we treated people as souls, not roles? Can you expound on that just a little bit as it applies both to self-awareness, but also how it actually translates into performance in an organization?
Yeah, I mean, it ties directly to authenticity. Is that we come in and we be like, well, I'm the CMO, or I'm a director, I'm this, I'm that, and we start creating this facade, this identity that we believe will be accepted, that we believe will be of value to the outside peers and world and leaders and reports and etc. When that's the worst thing you can do for yourself, because you're not actually saying, well, just who am I as a soul? As a person, it gets really messy because I'm a dad, I'm a mom, I'm an executive, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you start trying to create that identity. So if you drop that and you go, well, what does my heart space say? What does my spirit say? What do I want to feel emotionally? And that's kind of like what the whole soul is, because people may be atheists or not believe any of that stuff, but it's more of coming in and connecting to, can I just accept myself for who I am and be proud of that? Pros and cons, and just step into whatever space I'm navigating or whatever team I'm leading with authentic confidence that I'm doing the best I can, that I believe in myself, I'm proud of myself, and ultimately I love myself. And so we're stepping into that space as the person that is, registering that, but then also saying, if that's true for me, wouldn't it be true for everybody else in this room? And then the pressure, the stress, the anxiety of like, oh wow, this head honcho is coming into the room, and you go, well, they're just a soul too. And we start understanding that now I'm able to show up authentically because I'm not all putting, identities on other people too. So it works both ways. So we can step in and just kind of feel like, hey, did I do my best there? Yeah. What did I learn from it? Cool. What am I going to change moving forward? Awesome. What interactions served me? What little, moments were good? What were authentic and everything? So you see, it just starts creating a different kind of ecosystem where people can come in, and then performance is a byproduct, because now people don't feel the stress and anxiety of like trying to get it right. They feel comfortable doing the best they can. And there's studies on results versus effort, right? And so when we're showing up saying, I'm doing the best I can, then the best parts of us are showing up, and we're creating a completely different synergy to serve performance. So performance is just kind of a natural byproduct to elevate into higher realms because people are being authentic.
Speaking of authenticity, and at his essence, using a practical approach that combines neuroscience, psychology, spirituality, and of course his real world experience. If you're looking for that type of guidance to a higher perspective to make life easy by identifying your internal dis-easy, Joe Henn is your man. Go to joehenn.com. Joe, promise us you'll come back. Thank you for your insight.
Thank you for having me,
We are
gentlemen.
completely aligned in our philosophies and practicality.
Appreciate
Look
you.
forward to having you up in Newport Beach as well at our mastermind, and anywhere else you'd like to join us.
Thank you. And sorry for not saying enough swear words during
Just
this.
fuck
So
it,
next
man.
time.
Just
Next
fuck
time
it.
I'll bring
Fuck
it.
it. Fuck it. Fuck it. It doesn't matter. I love cable TV. Oh, this isn't even cable TV. Whatever. They haven't thrown me off of Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok for saying the F word yet, or Gary Vee. So, Joe, you're always welcome.
Thank
I
you.
highly suggest going on Blaine's Soul of Business. You're a perfect match for that show as well. So make sure you guys connect.
We'll circle
Okay?
back.
All right. Thank you all. I appreciate being here.
Yeah, have fun, brother. We'll see
All
you
right.
soon.
Take care, Jen.
Right on. All right, gentlemen, it's time for takeaways of the day. We'll start with Rhett Power now that his background is quiet. Rhett, what do you got? Maybe not. Blaine, what do you got?
Okay. The topic of retirement, I love that positioning in the conversation with Jay, and I think it applies to all three of our guests. When I start tapping into who I am, really leveraging who I am, not the role that I occupy or anything else. I start moving away from world of agreement suggestions that I'm supposed to retire by a certain date. I'm supposed to have all the shoulds start to disappear or become less relevant. And now I'm in a position where I can actually live my life to the fullest. So my takeaway is, taking the time, literally taking the time. If I'm seeking a job, what's the job that will match who I am? If I'm actually looking at the second stage of life, third stage, fourth stage of life, what is it that I'm bringing to the table? That sort of a thing. And then the idea here of just relating as a soul, from soul to soul. I'm not that sheepskin up on the wall. I am something completely different than that. So that whole notion of the power of I am, and how do I leverage it?
I thought you were going to definitely say sort of business was your takeaway. Rhett, can you hear me? Rhett, paging Rhett Bauer. Can you hear me? You're muted. You're muted, buddy. You're muted.
No idea what you said, Blaine. I'm sorry I missed that. I had.
Hey, it was golden. It was golden.
What's your takeaway, Rhett?
Real quick, I think my takeaway is both Jay and Joe are talking about it's time to start asking ourselves questions, right? And figure out what it is we want. I love that question. What do you want? And then asking it again. What do you really want? I don't think we ask ourselves that enough. And I think that leads to us down roads and directions that don't suit us and don't serve us. And I think that's one of my big takeaways from today. I really love their messages. And, I think this is a time where we all have to ask ourselves that very question, because things are changing. Things are changing fast. So.
Yeah, I think both of those are definitely aligned with what I was feeling. My takeaway is to distinguish between knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge is getting less and less expensive and takes less and less time, as indicative of a teenager who can create $1 billion company by vibe coding an app. That's knowledge. But that wisdom of the teenager who's a billionaire now is lacking. And so if you understand the supply and demand of commodities, and now that knowledge has been commoditized, you'll understand that you should be seeking wisdom and faith. That will be the capability of monetized value moving into the ancient times, into the hundreds, as the silver tsunami of wisdom is coming. Wisdom versus knowledge is my takeaway. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. We have a blast. And don't worry, even though we went over in time, it was well worth it. So in honor of Joe, you guys go fuck off and have a great night.
Sounds like a plan.
I love you both. BlaineBartlett.com. And don't forget the head of mental himself, RhettPower.com. Thank you, guys. I'll see you soon. All right, that'll do it for today, episode 895 or more. We're going to be in Japan tomorrow. Come and see us, interviews, holding courts, meetups, and even a VIP dinner for charity. Then we'll be off with Nick Saban and I to Louisville, Kentucky, Chicago, in between, Kalamazoo, Michigan, back to Chicago, Vegas for season 11 of Office Hours. Are you kidding me? In the lobby of the Wynn. All of these have a car wash, and then finishing up with Tim Story, Jay Abraham, maybe some of the guests today up in Newport Beach, John Coyle, myself, David at dmeltzer.com. Email me, David means beloved, at D is my first initial. Meltzer means servant. Let me be your beloved servant, David at dmeltzer.com. Or text me if you want to be informed or invited to all this cool shit. All this cool shit. That's area code 949-298-2905. Remember, most importantly, be more interested than interesting. Be kind to your future self, and do good deeds. Hit it, Gigi.
Hey! 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 Oh, hey! Wanna know where David's gonna be? Get invites, updates, and community. When he's in your city, you won't miss a thing.
Now I'm at the point you wanna be with me. I'm vibing out at a higher frequency, cause everything that I want and I'm gonna be, it's when I wake up, that's when I start to dream. Someone you love is talking down, here is the plan. Let it fall through like a handful of sand. Nothing happens overnight, what you must understand. If you dwell on the bad, then you don't stand a chance. Something you want upset, saying why it ain't mine yet. That's because now you have yet to change your mindset. People don't put their mind to rest while they're so wired. A lot of people go to sleep and wake up tired. Power of positivity and persistence. Say that I can, we'll just sit back and witness. Make an impact when our time is done. Make money, help people, and have lots of fun.